What just happened? Oh. And welcome everyone to another exciting, fun adventure on the energy that surrounds us as we host another channeling session with Starseed Lolo. And we are excited to welcome who's coming forward to speak with us. And to get that part started, I will hand it over to Starseed.
Hey, Michael. Glad to have come back here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well too. And I know that you're busy. And we also have a conference this Saturday. Shout out to Gina Virginia Casella. Michael and I are both on the panel of that conference. So check us out this Saturday on what's the date? June
13th.
13th. Yeah, June 13th.
I believe it's 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock Eastern time. So that would be 8 to 5 our time.
Yeah, 8 to 5 Central Time, or what is that? 6 to 3 Pacific Time, or 9 to 6 Eastern Time. I am also on channeling on Instagram and on Twitch. TikTok won't allow it, so I only do music on there. So to anyone who's on Instagram or Twitch or with my eyes closed, if you jump on YouTube under Michael Kopp 2025 YouTube, you can actually ask questions there, or if you jump on his Facebook.
All right. So
that's my cue to go. I'm ready if you are.
I'm ready.
All right. Let's just get it dark in here to set the mood a bit. And since it's a virtual background, some of my arm disappears. So, you know.
Who needs an arm?
Who needs an arm? As long as I have my mouth and I can talk, I don't care. All right. Let's get into it. If there's ever a point where you can't hear me that well, I can always bring the mic a little closer. I don't know if that's better. I got to leave this area free so I can do sound stuff. So we're going to do a short sound healing. The Greys are speaking today. Greetings.
Well, how are you?
Sorry we cut you off. Please remember, we have no emotions. We are always doing well because we always choose to do well. How are you?
I am doing well. Do you have a message for us today?
It is said that in 2027, via Bashar, that physical contact is imminent. This is if you choose that. Would you like to choose that reality?
I would, or I would choose it to be sooner.
At this point, the turning point in this year, 2026, will be December 21st, roughly during the winter solstice. Upon hitting the winter solstice, anything is possible going to what you call the new year, although via the precession of cycles, the new year is more shifted toward end of January.
Very good to know. And do you have any insight into what that change will be like for us?
You are a changeling, just like a changeling, and changing together. and every plinc second. Therefore, it is your choice on how to quote unquote change, because you are a shapeshifter. You do not have to be quote unquote on the other side, or what you call the Akasha, to be able to change. However, we get to your perspective and your question. Physical contact has been made, which is why you do see actual videos on what you call UAPs, UFOs, unidentified flying objects, which is why a lot of you have experienced them actually in physical and have vivid dreams. Those are not dreams, those are real contacts with other versions of yourself.
Thank you. Do you have any message for Laura?
She is expanding her family once again. Her 8-year-old and 10-year-old, 8-year-old son will be, for the first time, in the family home. She is flying out tomorrow to go to get him from Florida to California. We say, good job. You have chosen the reality with the higher road, and you will have a lot of fun. Also, her 10-year-old stepdaughter is moving in. They are also moving her in a couple days later this weekend, June 14th, which is what you call it, circa June 14th, 2026. Therefore, she has been very patient, although you do not have to be patient. You are only waiting, and therefore you feel like you're waiting. If you are not waiting and living in the present moment, such as you should be, you are never in the need of patience.
Very true. And do you have any guidance for her to help navigate this in her life?
Just keep on keeping, meaning stay neutral to neutral positive, no matter what happens, regardless of texts or legal threats or whatnot. This is the version that you have chosen. Every reflection that you have chosen, we are speaking to you, Laura, and anyone else who this might pertain to. Every version of a quote unquote person in your reality experience is your version of them. Therefore, it is a direct reflection, literally, not just figuratively, since there is nothing without and it is all within.
Thank you. Do you have a message for myself?
Same to you, Mr. Michael. However, different circumstances. You are pregnant with seedlings of thoughts and ideas, and we do see you with new ideas on a daily basis, so much to the point where you might feel sometimes, correct us if we're wrong, that you have quote unquote not done enough in the day. This is not true. As long as you are following your highest passion, even if it's multiple passions in every moment, something as simple as what to eat to what to do in your career, it does not have to be a monumental choice. And we see you living this. You are living in your highest passion. The synchronicity principle will help you organize and get quote unquote done what you need to in this day.
Thank you. I do feel that way sometimes, so thank you for that confirmation and validation.
Welcome.
If I may, Laura and I, on a previous channeling session with another group, had a question come to mind, and I would like to know if I can ask this question of you.
Yes.
Can you explain to us, when we talk with people who are in tune with seeing our past lives, when they say you were this in a past life, are they referring to the energy of that person and not the actual person?
That is true. And this is a whole explanation in itself. And you are correct. Laura has asked you, and we also asked her to ask you, although directly she didn't know that until now, even though she kind of does. This is why several people say, I am Cleopatra, or even Laura said in her QHHT from October 2025, Panama City, which is posted on our YouTube openly. she has shared most parts. However, in one part for about 5 minutes, she said, I am Caesar, in a male-ish voice. Julius Caesar. And she embodied his energy in these moments. However, is she him? No. She is her in this version of her, in this reality, parallel reality in the present moment, because everything is a present moment, just like one big bang explosion that is infinite. Therefore, each fractal can have different perspectives and be under and over soul. She also had a dream that, from a third point perspective, without a body, she was witnessing who you call Britney Spears being mistreated by her family members in what you call the past, which there's only the present. However, that's another perspective, which we honor. And she realized that her higher self told her that they were the same oversoul. Even if there are 8 billion souls or 5 billion or whatnot, there were only roughly about 144,000 oversouls on this iteration of what you call Earth. Therefore, you can share energy with any being, inanimate object, animal, parallel reality with what you call past, present, future. Are you physically Julius Caesar? No, you are Michael. Are you physically this Pleiadian who is on a ship next to us? No, you are Michael. However, you have connections as soul fractals under the same soul group, under an umbrella which you call the oversoul. Does this make sense?
It does. And I'm curious on my own. Sometimes when I look at like my ancestry and my genealogy tree, family tree, I feel certain connections to certain family members in the back in the past, and I wonder if those are energies that my soul was at that time, and I'm recognizing past lives in the current life.
Yes. Often you will not meet soul fractals under the same oversoul. However, in rare occasions, if it benefits your soul and you have chosen that, and the soul fractal energy has also chosen this, like two sparks that meet each other in the dark and are attracted almost in a kinetical, electrical, energetic way, then you will meet or coincide with quote unquote a past life. Therefore, are you the reincarnation of your great grandpa? Not directly, no. However, since many humans do not understand what we are saying and explaining now, they say, I am my great grandpa or great grandma. I am Cleopatra. I am Julius Caesar. Not always a famous person. However, they are catching the energy. In this case, you have DNA, RNA that is directly linked to a family member or family members. Therefore, yes, you are another version of them. However, more of a soul family in a closer version of them rather than someone who you're not related to, if that makes sense as well.
It does. And so, my last question around this is, are past lives different timelines that we're living, or is that a too broad and too out there idea and it needs to be narrowed in?
Like we have aforementioned, that past life is not existing. However, the experience is existing and everything is in the present moment. 900 BC exists right now. 29,000 years from now exists from right now, because time does not exist. And time is just an experience that is anchored by your ego. Your ego anchors you in what you call a physical reality experience. That is its job. However, that is a different perspective and a different experience that exists in this everlasting now moment with everything else of source, as source, being source.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Welcome.
Another question I would like to ask is there's a lot of talk amongst a lot of people that the Greys or a faction of the Greys are our future selves that have returned from the future to the past to help guide us in a different direction. Do you feel that's a somewhat accurate statement, or is that something that somebody has created and people just gravitated towards it?
A little bit of both. However, if you mean in the beginning part, humans from the future, yes, we are. However, we are more so humans from a parallel dimension, mutated humans. Is it perceived to be a future timeline? Yes. You are the timeline because time does not exist. However, you are the portal having the experience as a soul fractal. Yes, we are another version of you as well. We are another perspective of you as well because you are part of this hybrid program. More so parallel dimension. However, based on our technologies and advancements, you would call us futuristic.
Thank you. I'm curious, as we've talked with the jovial mantis, ant beans, and some other cultures, and we started to talk about how they love music and how they celebrate existence. Is that something you all partake in as well in your own way, or is that something that's more regulated towards other beings?
We do enjoy music time to time, especially with the dealings in humans, because we are exposed to a vast variety, which we normally would not be exposed to, as you would say, retro music for us. We have very small ear holes, no external ears to be seen, however, ear holes, because we are telepathic beings. However, we are still able to hear the sound with mostly vibration, such as a domestic cat does. And it is taken differently upon ourselves because of this. However, yes, can we hear noises? Yes, we can.
Thank you. And is there a period in history where you feel our planet, you know, was embracing and showing the best that humanity has to offer, so to speak?
There's only the now moment, son. And this is the best offer. Your choice of it, moment to moment to moment.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Do you travel through spaceships or crafts, or do you travel through energy by thought?
Both consciousness controlled, as they say, speed of thought. And then, if we would like to appear in the physicality of the realm, we will have a consciousness controlled ship. And we can change our consciousness into a different external or use a cloaking device to look different.
Can you share with us what your homeworld is like?
We no longer have a planet. However, there are versions of Grays and other iterations and other constellations that we have visited that do have planets. Some of them have chosen to keep their emotions and can still consummate, therefore have no need for the hybrid programs, such as tall grays and many other versions of us. However, this collective does not have a quote unquote planet at this time.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Did your planet, was it involved in a cataclysm, or did you just evolve to a new plane and left your world behind?
A little bit of both. We had technologies far beyond what you call nuclear reactors. And because of having these emotions, which is why we got rid of them, we have what you call wars. Some of these are, as you know, Orion constellation wars. These wars were roughly in perceived time, again, perceived because time does not exist, 1 to 2 million years ago, circa. This forced us to leave what you call a planet from Orion to spread out. Then we genetically modified ourselves and are, as you say, more so like plums, almost like twins in a hive, rather than brothers and sisters, and took away the ability to feel emotions, which unfortunately took away the ability to reproduce, which led into the hybrid program, which, and as you say, time jumping, has helped us to genetically modify races, hybrid races, such as half Pleiadian, half grays, half human, and many more. The fifth race are hybrids. The sixth race are humans, whom we are speaking with right now, which made this version of humans possible via hybrids and the hybrid program.
Is the hybrid program helping to keep your particular group of the Greys alive and nourishing and flourishing, or does something else need to happen that we could potentially help you with to help you to maintain and grow?
This has already been going on for hundreds of years, if not thousands. As we alluded to, this version of humans, which whom we are speaking with, are a result of the hybrid race after the fifth race being the sixth race, mixed together genetically with several versions of star beings, as you say. The way it's able to mix is because of technology. The way it's able to mix even with technology is because of source. If we could not mix, we would not mix, period. As far as support, those such as you and Laura and others who are listening, being part of the hybridization program, are being thanked right now because of you. This version of humans exists. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Do you have any advice for any of the humans or hybrids that are on our planet right now that are seeking to, as you might say, control their emotions and possibly remove emotions that don't serve them?
If you're speaking of the equilibrium of balance, being in balance, roughly from neutral to neutral positive to match universal energy, is quote unquote always a good idea.
Thank you. I'm curious, how do the Greys celebrate? Do they, or because of your emotional path, do you not host celebrations?
every present now moment is a celebration. However, we know what you are asking. Anytime creation is born, that is a celebration for us. Whether it is a creature of a hybrid, a human brother or sister of ours, a gray brother or sister of ours. Yes, there are female and males. Creation is a celebration. Destruction is the other side of the coin, which is also a celebration. We celebrate source and life. We enjoy speaking with humans, other versions of ourselves and reflections. This is a celebration for us, and roughly 1 million souls are listening.
Thank you for that. And before we part and bring Laura back, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for coming to speak with us and to share your experiences with us. It means the world to us that you come forward and answer questions and share your knowledge with us to help us grow.
We thank you. We thank you for helping humanity and everything that you do, and all of humanity for existing. More people than they know are part of hybrid programs, and because of these programs, as we said, you exist, this version of you, which we consider to be the best version. Yes, we do play favorites. However, we love all beings unconditionally with love. Until next time, my friend.
Until next time. Laura can return.
Yep, I'm here.
Little gong for you.
Wow, the grays really wanted to come through.
Yes, and there was a lot of really cool information that came forward. I was surprised by a lot of it.
Yeah, and I had a lot to say. This felt like a different collective than the other grays that have been here before.
I kind of had that feeling, but I wasn't sure because, like they say, they're emotionless, so they kind of are hard to read, but they actually seemed like they had a little emotion, though.
Yeah, I mean, they say they have no emotion. It doesn't mean that they don't have an awareness or, a consciousness, a conscious self feeling. And a lot of them have empathy that's almost like a borrowed energy, because they do shapeshift and they do go in reality chambers in this reality as well, where they interject and, like they said, they move their consciousness over from their, little gray body over to seemingly a human body. And so indirectly, they do still have emotions, almost like, it's borrowing the experience, much like what we were talking about with the past life.
Right, and it was interesting too to hear, even though they, you know, being who they are and where they're coming from, still celebrate things. And so it's like even, showing, no emotions and being void of that can still celebrate things. And it was interesting to me too how they correlate removing emotions removed the ability to create life. So that was interesting too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, they don't want us to end up like them, because they are not extraterrestrials, they are mutated humans, and they're, they're on a track where they're like a million years ahead of us in perceived time, of course. And it's, they don't want us to be like them and just be like, oh, let's get rid of war, let's get rid of, violent crimes, violence, that kind of thing, and let's just take it all away, take away the emotion, because there's no sexual gratification or anything from it. And in doing that, they wiped out like everything as far as it with the emotions, which they didn't know would do that. It removed the ability to reproduce. And then they were like, oops, but then it was too late. And, they don't want us to be on that trajectory like they are. However, they also don't want us, setting off nukes, because that's the one thing that they will basically stop us from doing, even though we have free will, because turning on the nukes, like at the DOMs, the deep, underground military bases in the deserts and stuff like that, it literally affects the fabric of time and space for all beings. And so they will go over there and turn off the nukes testing and make sure that, we know not to do nuclear war. Other than that,
Right. What was interesting is after the last session, I wrote down on a piece of paper what question we wanted to ask about the past lives. And I completely forgot that I had written it down. And I go, oh, we got a session coming up. I should write about, and write this down so I remember about past lives. And I go to write it down on a sheet of paper and I found my note. I was like, oh, I already wrote this question. This isn't a new question in my mind. And so it's interesting as they put it in your mind. I feel like they probably put it in my mind as well.
yeah, everything on here that is channeled is also channeled through you, because a lot of people might think that we prepare ahead of time, we know who's coming out ahead of time, you have a list of questions ahead of time. Generally, we don't. In this very rare instance, they wanted to explain that just because you have a feeling or an inkling that you are a certain person in what you call a past life, even if it's yourself, it doesn't have to be someone famous, what that really means, because there's a big misunderstanding in the community that, people are like, I am Julius Caesar. And, I said it in my own KHT session. And they're telling me in this present moment, your soul is a perspective of Laura. Now, what this means is that under the umbrella of the Oversoul, your source, Oversoul, 144,000 souls, you are a fractal under the same Oversoul. That's all it means. And so you are able to borrow this energy easier than someone who is not in that same Oversoul group as yourself. However, it can still be done, just like the Greys, jump in another container with their consciousness.
Right. And it explains why so many people will say, "Oh, I was Moses," or "I was so and so." It's so all these people, yeah, are fractals of, and so therefore, yes, that's true, and that's why there are so many, and so it kind of paints a new, light on that and a new interesting perspective of, yeah, and you still, though, I feel like, it's important to point out while we're still live, though, is just because someone says they're a fractal of someone, it doesn't necessarily make it so. And so trust your instincts, trust your resonance. And if you feel like, you don't agree with it, just simply move on and go and find another, path or source of information. Don't judge everybody based on your experience or your interpretation. Just simply move on and find another source of information. And if it does resonate with you, follow that person and, listen to what they have to say. And so the choice is yours. Just, use your choice wisely, I would say.
That's true. And they've been talking about that on other channelings, not the Greys, but I think it was the jovial mantis that came through last time that said that we don't have to all agree. The humans have a culture that we have to agree, we have to disagree, and we like to engage and speak about it and whatnot. We don't have to agree. You can just use discernment, such as you're saying, and what is your perspective? Your perspective, all perspectives are valid because it's of source. And our unique perspective is our own soul fractal experience. And so if you don't agree, you don't agree, you move on with your life. If you agree, maybe you engage or you still move on with your life. However, we do not have to agree.
Exactly. And so, with that being said, I know you have things to do and to get ready for, and I have things to do as well and get ready for. So, thank you, Laura, for coming on and sharing this with us and continuing to do this. And we will see everyone on our next channeling session, which, when I look at my calendar, is on June 23rd.
That's right. Thank you for having me, Michael, and thank you for channeling as well, because you're also channeling and going off the cuff based on both of our intuitions. And it just seems to flow out, and it's so natural. We don't have to edit anything. It just comes out as is. And looking forward to next time. Bye, everyone.
Yes. Thank you, and bye-bye, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.